What is your country and what are some scams we should be aware of when visiting? I've lived in China for 9 months. A scam that I've heard about in larger cities like Beijing and Shanghai is that a student age person will come up to you and ask to practice their English. The supposed English practice will end up in a real tea coffee house, where they will ask you to pay for said tea coffee because they are a poor student. The tea coffee is invariably ridiculously overpriced, which a tourist wouldn't know about. Student and shop get a nice payout. Someone tried this with me while I was in Beijing last month. After telling them I'd lived in China for a while, I knew what was going on and had some fun. Played along until getting to the tea shop and looking at the menu, then said, in Chinese, "This tea is too expensive," and walked away giggling. Hahaha. They tried to get me when I was walking down the hutongs behind the Forbidden City. Good thing I researched this before. In restaurants in Prague, Czech Republic, if you speak English and require an English menu, be prepared to pay at least double the normal amount. Egypt, if you visit the pyramids, prepare to meet a ton of souvenir sellers who will charge you 10x the price that they will demand from an Egyptian. The best idea is to go to an established souvenir shop. There are many big ones, instead of those guys near the tourist attractions. Also, they can tell where you are from and will charge you accordingly. If you are white, you'll attract a ton of attention from them. Asians are usually completely ignored unless they approach the vendors. Not Ukrainian, but my friend told a story where ordered in a fish restaurant with fish price by 100 grams. They brought him a ludicrous huge bill of 500 euros. He protested, but they were dead serious about the price. So the police got involved. The officer heard the story and was all like, "Well, why don't you pay then? This is madness. How the frick does the fish cost so much dang money?" So, they took him to the kitchen and showed him how. They put a fish into the bucket of ice and placed it on a scale there. 20 kilo of fish. The officer agreed that this is perfectly reasonable. It was either payment or arrest. If you ever fly in Bucharest and want a cab, demand from the driver to actually start the timer and pay attention to its growth. If he snaps it, resets the timer to 0 without confirming the fare. When you reach the destination, don't pay. If he doesn't start it at all, don't pay or demand to start the timer. They will ask for a lot of money if they see you're a foreigner, up to 10x the actual fare price. In the Netherlands, homeless shelters are free nowadays. The homeless people who tell you they need 80 cents for a place to sleep are lying. It used to cost a total of 4 euros per night, but it doesn't anymore. Those who tell you they can't get welfare because they don't have a permanent address are lying as well. They get welfare via an ingenious system of PO boxes set up by the state and cities. I honestly don't mind people asking me for money, but I hate it when they lie about the reasons for doing so. In South Africa, people beg on the side of the roads with children. These children are often rented out because it gets them more sympathy. Don't support it. On the other hand, this is probably one of the less horrifying ways to rent out a child. America here, specifically North Carolina, but I've seen it in Texas, too. People will come up to you in the parking lot of a grocery store with a sob story about running out of gas on their way back home to a town 50 miles away and ask for money. They may also have a wife and kids who are very hungry. For some reason, they get upset if you ask to see their driver's license so you can see if their permanent address is actually in that town. I've only witnessed this one once. A dude was trying to trade a gift card to the grocery store we were in for its cash value, even offering to let me check online over the phone that the card was valid. Not sure what the end game is, maybe hoping people won't actually check. This happens all across the United States because there are drug addicts all across the United States. I'm from the UK. For God's sake, make sure you understand how the currency conversion from your country to ours works. I knew a guy who visited here and paid £90 for a short taxi ride, all because the taxi driver took advantage of his ignorance in said situation. I can see this being similar across many countries, but there are people out there who'll bet on you lacking knowledge in the money department. Do your research. Don't let them. Don't mistake this for racism, please. In Japan, if you go to the Roppongi area of Tokyo, then don't shake hands with the black guys who stand around trying to talk to people. Japan's society is so homogeneous, roughly 90% Japanese, 5% Chinese, 3% Korean. So you'll see them easily, and almost every single black man who puts his hand out for you to shake is trying to get you to go to his really cool secret club that he knows about. The thing is, once you shake his hand he will not let go. He will grip you tightly and forcibly pull you into a bar while smiling and making nice so it doesn't draw any attention. Once you get in, you'll see a menu of affordable drinks and pay a not too bad seating charge, which you'll think is the hidden charge. But no, the actual hidden charge is the leaving fee. If you want to leave the club you'll need to hand over an extortionate amount of money, or they'll call the police, who are not kind to foreigners in that particular area. TLDR. Beware of black men, usually Nigerian, in Roppongi, Tokyo, also no racist. These are mostly for tourist areas, but, in France, if someone asks you about signing a petition, especially in English, mind your purse, don't make eye contact, don't respond, keep walking, even just by signing your name. They could be pickpocketing you when you're not looking, or they can make a big scene saying you've pledged to make a donation, and yell at you till you give them money. In the US, don't take freaking pictures with fake mascots. They will freak out if you don't give them money after, even if you give them money and they don't think it's enough. Seriously, I have seen these people smack around children, plus their costumes are terrible. Full moon parties in Thailand. Watch out for dealers who work with cops. They come up, try and sell you stuff. Cop comes out of nowhere, asks for bribe or will arrest you. They then split money with dealer. Thailand. They put water-soluble paint on the bottom of the jet skis the tourists hire. It looks fine when you pick it up, but then the paint comes off when you're using it, revealingly a bunch of scratches on the hull. When you return it they point to all the scratches, say you must have run over something, and keep your deposit. The bottom gets painted again and they wait for the next pasty white sucker. India has kids hanging around tourist sites who want to sell you carved sandalwood or 10 postcards in an envelope. You will get a piece of pine or an envelope with 2 battered old postcards inside, and the knowledge that a small Indian child can outwit an adult tourist. I got a full, colorful set of postcards. I don't usually buy stuff like that, but I'll look at that little book all the time. Guess I deserve to get lucky after the henna lady screwed me over. If you visit Chicago, beware of the scammers on the CTA trains that go around collecting money for their basketball team. Actual youth sports teams raise money through fundraisers like selling chocolates, not walking around the trains with a flyer. Plus most of the kids look like they are 20 and are never able to give believable information when asked about their team. My favorite memory of Canada was going to the LCBO liquor store and seeing a youth hockey team fundraising outside of it. This was a legit fundraiser though, unless Canadian 20-year-olds look 5. I don't know if this is exclusive to America, but I get calls all the time from Microsoft saying that they have detected a problem with your PC, and if you sign on for them they can help fix it. Don't know what they get from it because I've never given them control. Nope. This happens in the UK too. Usually they'll ask you for a one-off fee to get rid of all viruses on your computer. Not from Italy, but many restaurants will charge you for bread unless you explicitly decline it and wave it away. I had no idea this was common until our table ate 4 or 5 pieces of bread between us while waiting for meals and got charged like $12. I once had to pay for the view in a restaurant in Italy. Hollywood, CA, on Hollywood Boulevard, in front of the Chinese theater, the main tourist drag. There are guys who will hand you a CD, some will actually put it in your hand. Don't take them, they aren't free. Once you accept them they tell you that you owe them $20. When you say no thanks and try to hand them back they won't take them and they demand their money and will get aggressive. You try to give it back and they put their hands up saying it's yours now, pay me. If they put it in your hand don't close your hand. Just let it drop and walk away. They will yell that you broke their CD and demand money, but if you ignore them and keep moving they can't do much. If you do take one and they won't take it back, place it on the ground at their feet and get out of there. They will sometimes cuss at you, but so what? Just go. This happens in NYC too, a lot. When my brother and I went, I warned him about this. 5 minutes later I turn around to see where he was and sure enough he's chatting to some guy, CD in hand. Not my country, but if you go to Shanghai be careful about tea scams. Basically, if you're in a tourist area like the Bund overlooking Pudong, a group of friendly looking people might come up to you and start engaging in polite conversation. They'll say they're from rural China or a different city, that they're tourists as well, and they'll invite you for tea. Once they get you into the tea shop they work for, they'll sit you in the back room and have some burly, triads looking mofo block the door. Next they'll get you to sample a bunch of expensive teas and won't let you leave until you buy at least one bag. On the bright side, the tea itself is good and you can get away with only spending $10.20 or so. It's just the being lied to and trapped part that sucks. Now you see why the noun Shanghai is also a verb. America. Evidently some dickhead sells hot dogs for $30 a pop at One World Trade. You can get a dirty water dog for $1 anywhere else. F that guy. Those aren't hot dogs, they're freedom fitters. In Canada, if you are in large groups of people walking into out of a building, mall, convention center, sports complex, if you see someone hold open the door for 20 people and then right as you approach they give the door a push to open it up more than they retreat inside the building, you should be careful cause they are trying to get you to hold the door open for the next X many people until you can pawn it off. LMAO, this is the best post in this thread. I live in France. Paris is a very touristic place, so if you plan to visit the city, you should be aware of the scams. First of all, don't buy souvenirs from people in the street. They often sell key rings, such as Eiffel Towers, little gadgets, sunglasses, bracelets, on a carpet on the floor. Ignore them. If you seem interested they will insist until you buy something. It may be cheaper than the items in the shops, but in fact those are poor quality garbage. Plus, the money is given to some mafia. Also, there are many thieves. Don't act as a tourist and keep your things close to you, especially on the subway or in very touristic places. Montmartre, Le Trocadero. Don't let your phone on the table of a cafe if you are outside. Even if you stay right there, when you go to the Eiffel Tower, you may encounter young girls who practically don't speak French, claiming they are tourists and asking for water. Don't even talk to them. They often distract you meanwhile another person steals your wallet, cell phone, etc. They are very good at it. Same as lost children in the subway, who don't know where to go and don't really speak French. If you're not sure about it, report it to the persons working there, RATP, or the police ferroviaire. I'm from New York City. Taxi drivers here are huge con artists. Huge, they will deliberately take the longest and most complicated route to get to the location. They will deliberately drive into the worst traffic and worst road construction in the city. The longer the ride, the more they get paid. My advice, look at a map before you get into the cab. Figure out how to get there. Know the shortest route. As soon as you get in, tell him exactly how you want to get there. If he tells you, oh, this other way is faster, don't believe him. He is probably a big fat liar. Give him exact directions and don't let him give you any suggestions. If he drives you into traffic, immediately get out and find another taxi, if possible. Ugh, so true. I took a taxi from NY Penn Station to Park Ave South. Took 20 minutes and cost me $30. Then I took an Uber from Park Ave South to NY Penn Station. Took 5 minutes and cost $7. Never again. There is a fairly big problem in Vietnam, where I live, but not where I am from, with scooter or motorbike drivers snatching handbags, cameras, phones, etc. from people walking along the sidewalks or pavements. In my first week living in the country I was going out for dinner and had a lovely golden colored handbag with my passport, wallet, and first month's rent inside. It was a small bag and I just had it on my shoulder while we walked. The mistake I made, because no one had told me, was that I had it on the roadside shoulder. Some biker just swerved onto the sidewalk, ripped it off me, and swerved back onto the road, before I had a chance to say a thing. The people that were walking with me didn't even notice until after. It hurt my shoulder, and I lost my money, passport and the lovely bag, which matched my sandals. Bastard. After that I just remembered to always carry my bag on the inside. I made another mistake more recently without such a bad ending. I had out my iPad mini on the pavement, looking up a number. I just wasn't thinking. A guy drove up to me and tried to snatch it. I literally was hanging onto a small swatch of elastic where you put then pen on the case. There is a small window the snatcher has to get it and leave again before people notice and there will be problems. I held on long enough. He got worried and gave up and drove off. I was totally stunned. The whole thing was like 20 seconds tops. Afterwards, in my head, I fantasized about drop kicking him off his scooter. Moral: when you visit Vietnam, keep your bags on the inside shoulder and don't take out phones, wallets, iPads, cameras etc in plain view without be very guarded and aware. Iceland. Don't buy the bottled water unless you just need the bottle to fill it up as often as you like with all the wonderfully cold, safe and free water running from the taps. If you are in any developed nation, do this. In the US, many bottled water brands are simply tap water from wherever the company is based. In Switzerland we have this big scam called FIFA, where rich people pay each other money tax-free. You support it by watching football. Seriously though, I have never seen any scams in our major cities. If you wanna come visit, please excuse our uptightness and enjoy our country. And your police rock. I've loved them ever since. I forgot to mention that I was going to the loo during a high school trip and they managed to deliver me back to the touring car. This was way back when we didn't all have a cell phone BTW. In Mexico they can arrest you for no reason and then demand money to be let go. They will ask you to call relatives and have them wire money for your freedom. New Zealand. We actually don't exist. A scene painter got a little over enthusiastic with impossible scenery 30 years ago in a Hollywood backlot and the sets were never used. The sets were on sold to a theme park. They hired 500 extras and here we are. The sets were later used in Lord of the Rings, so at least they got some mileage. Azerbaijan. Well, there are two scams, one more known and one less known. The more known scam is young Azeri boys prey on older women from Western Europe and America and tend to form a fake relationship with them in order to get money, but it is not on the scale of Turkey. And the second one, which is a lesser known one, is people setting up fake stalls in Baku selling goods for ludicrous amounts like the equivalent of $17 for a Kit Kat bar. US. If you're in a major city, stay away from street performers and people with instruments who are selling their CDs. Some will be very pushy and aggressive. In Hong Kong, there are a few street markets such as Mongkok and Stanley Market, and if they see you're a tourist, they are more likely to ask for a higher price, and locals can always bargain there cause they know how to speak the language. That's not a scam though. Overcharging tourists is a worldwide practice. I'll tell you what's a scam though. Borrowing money from triads outside casinos in Macau. Their interest rates are like 500% per day. They also hawk jet foil tickets which are overpriced. America. Fast food places usually ask if you want a large or supersized drink. They also have free refills. Just get the regular size. Also, order your drink no ice so long as you aren't super attached to ice cold drinks. It's quite a bit more soda, since restaurants put a lot of ice in. In Germany, mostly in cities, people who don't speak German will try to get some kind of flour into your hands and then demand about $8 for it. I got crap on by my friends for not buying a crappy rose for my then girlfriend. I went to the next flower store thingy and bought her 3 for the price of the one on the streets. These suckers are everywhere in Germany. In big Texas cities like San Antonio, people will fall down in front of your car while you're driving to try and get you to get out and see if they're okay. Then they promptly jump up and beat your butt and rob you. Easy solution is to keep your doors locked and just pop your car into neutral and give it one good reverend. We don't have many beggars in Finland, but for last few years we've had a lot of Romanian gypsies show up begging for money, and most of that goes to Romanian mafia. Yep, same in Spain. Santa Fe, NM USA. If you come here for Indian market and want to buy authentic Native American jewelry, I suggest you simply browse and ask for the artist's card. They will jack up the prices of their good at least 4x during Indian market because they can. However, if you contact the artist after the market, or at least a few weeks later, you will save hundreds of dollars. Source: I am Navajo and have worked at the market for years. I don't mean to sell out my own people, but dang we greedy. In Toronto there are many of the I lost my purse and need money for the train scams at stations, also a group that goes around with pamphlets labeled Black History. They try to start a conversation and shake your hand to tell you about their pamphlet, then ask you for a donation of $5 to $10. They will never say what charity or organization they belong to, and if you're not black and refuse, they call you a racist. I go to university in the very touristy area of Toronto and see them stopping people all the time. Canadian here. Toronto has lots of homeless shelters. Even the cops warn visitors not listen to stories about having nowhere to sleep. At those grocery stores where you need to insert a quarter to use shopping carts, many newcomers will ask for a quarter in return for a quarter. It's just some worthless coin from their crappy homeland. In Brazil, some criminals run this pretty subtle scam. If you have your phone out, they put a gun in your face and take the phone. Here's where it gets a little more technical. If they also hear you speaking English, or speaking Portuguese with an American accent, they put a gun in your face, throw you in a car, and keep you locked up in a favela until your family gives them tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. The amount they ask for will depend on how nice your watch is. Anything Sasquatch related up in the northwest parts of US, just don't. Beautiful area, but they abuse that crap for tourist money. I traveled with Semester at Sea within the last 10 years. I took a number of tours in many of the countries we visited. I didn't see too many scams since I traveled with large groups or with tours, but we did see a couple of interesting things. Not necessarily a scam, but something to keep in mind. Even when booking a tour through the school, a number of the shops that we visited had deals with the tour company. Many of the shops were overpriced and, in some cases, such as in India, the textile and marble shops were staffed by indentured workers. Most of us knew this, so we traded small amounts. I think it was 400 rupees, less than $7 in US dollars today, for small marble pieces that were made out of scraps by the workers when the owner left the room. I avoided purchasing anything during the tours, unless it was a specialty store. When we were in Cambodia, we were warned not to give anything to the gangs of kids who were begging. Someone decided to hand over a water bottle through the bus window to one of the kids. Woman rushed over, grabbed the bottle and smacked the kid. Anything given to the kids will just be taken. My family and I visited France a few summers ago. We were going to go from the Champs-Élysées to Notre Dame by taking the subway. When we got there was this guy in a uniform shirt with a badge. He helped us buy our tickets. My family is kind of big and it ended up costing $90. My mom was confused and told my dad to ask the man again if it was right. My dad did not. The man had told us that the tickets would last all day for unlimited subway rides. Awesome, right? Nope. Right after we saw Notre Dame, we went back to the subway station and showed our tickets. A different man at the desk told us that the tickets we had bought were one way. They should have cost us $15. The man we described to him didn't actually work there and was just there to take people's money. The Buddhist monks in yellow robes in Chinatown SF aren't actually monks, they approach you on the street, ask for your signature in a little notepad for peace. Then they get really pushy for your money. When you start to get suspicious, they'll give you a small bracelet or some other balls to lay your fears to rest. The news did a story about it a while ago, but they're still out there. Am I late? Philippines here. If you're a tourist, you're better off buying from establishments. Some street vendors sell at least double, especially at tourist hotspots. In the USA, people selling mixtapes and or street performers. Was in Vegas with my family when I saw a man with a python. He saw my interest in it and shoved it onto my shoulders and demanded my family $10 for taking pictures with it. We took none. Just told him to frick off and left. In Mexico, people, usually young children, running up to your car and washing the windshield then demanding payment. Frequently happens at the border, or whenever you get off and park on a busy street. If you come across someone holding bracelets, Put your hands in your pockets and keep walking forward. Out in Nassau, Bahamas, ladies will grab your wrists and tie a bracelet around you and say it was made from retarded children. She will then tie it tight, then ask for money. So now you're stuck with this on and they're screaming at you to give them money. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.